Why'd you start working out?
Well, I got sick and tired of looking in the mirror and not liking what I was seeing, which was, let me do the math here, probably 35 pounds of tub on top of what should have been like 155 pounds of lean muscle. And so that just like became a complete energy sucking experience, and I hated it. I was like, why did I let this happen? And then, you get through making all these excuses, and I work a lot and this and that and the other thing. And it was just coming to the point where like I just could not stand looking at myself anymore. And I knew I should have been in better shape and wasn't. So like, how do I fix it? So then I went onto the old interweb, and I had been in the like self-development thing for a little bit. But then I stumbled across this guy named Wes Watson, and I am the type of person that I don't listen unless you yell at me a lot of times. And he yells at you. And so that resonated with me for whatever reason. And it got my ass into the gym. I'll tell you the real story. So like if you sign up for his program, he will actually be the one to field the form that you send in, basically. So it'll like make sure you're a real person, and then he gets the text and says that he has a lead. And so I remember texting him, and I'm like, holy, is that really you? And then there was a little bit of back and forth. And I was like, that was when he was just getting started. So he'd have like full conversations like this, and he probably still does. But I was like, oh my gosh, like I never been to the gym before. How do I just do this at home? And he's like, just call me. And so I called him, and he literally told me to stop being a bitch and go to the gym and just stop being a like just across the board. Because then, I was, well, I work a lot, so I can't go to the gym and da 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 da. And I did. I mean, I worked 12 hours basically minimum all the time. And that I worked 12 hours every day, 7 days a week for over 2 years with no days off. I mean, it was probably like a full 3 years that this went on. And the first day that I took off was a Labor Day, and we went to Tom and Wendy's cabin on the 4th of July. That was the first day that I took off. I remember that. But long story short, all these excuses, even if they were relevant, it just doesn't matter, because you can either say, oh, well, I'm doing this, so I can't do this, or you can say, I am doing this and I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to let anything slide. And ultimately that's what he whipped right out of me right away. And so I started going, and like I said, I hated the way that I looked. So once I showed up, especially if you never worked out before, which I never did, you go in there and you're like, oh, what is this? Oh, okay, all right. And there's some workout videos, and I'm like trying not to look too stupid, but it's ass early in the morning with basically just old people there, so that helps. And I'm like, all right, pulling on some levers and stuff. And then I was starting to figure some shit out. And then I hurt myself a little bit. But I just, if I hurt one arm, I work out with the other one. Because, again, there's no excuses. Don't be. And before long, I was dropping more than a couple pounds a week sometimes, and it didn't take me really that long, and I looked pretty good, and then it was easier to stick with it, and I did, and like, geez, just really caught momentum, went on for years like that, and then that turned into momentum that carried into the business, and then 75 hard and all that stuff, and it just went on and on and on, and it all started from somebody just telling me that I was a pussy, and ultimately there just is no excuses. You don't have any validity to say, well, I'm doing this, so I can't do this. There's people that make it all work. And if you're not one of them, then the only thing that's stopping you from being one of them is yourself. So, and your bullshit excuses.
I think of like super rich people that are also jacked. Like if they have time to do it,
Yeah.
anybody's got time to do it.
Exactly. And I mean, that's what I was, I was trying to be successful and stuff. And I had it in my head because it's what I grew up around. It's the average mindset, like, well, I'm doing this, so I can't do that again. It's always that, but it's not if one then the other. It's how do I make them both work, and not half-ass either of them. That's really the answer, and it's just be more intentional about your time and leave it all out on the field every day. And if you do that, all good.
Even like some days when you're booked from, like my days go from 5 till 7 or 8. I'm at work or school, and that's like the earliest I get in the gym is like 8 o'clock. So it's like anything you have to do to get in there is fulfilling and makes your next day way better, because then you got your last day done, and it's all around a better day if you get in the gym, no matter what.
Yeah, because
whatever you have to do to get in there.
Yeah, because subconsciously that you're doing what you said you were going to do, and then that's building confidence in yourself. That's where that whole thing takes shape if you really just commit to it, which I did for 7 days a week and did everything that he said. And then what winds up happening is it's like this big skateboard ramp where you go up and you're like riding this massive high, and then life kind of settles back out, and you got to find a sustainable middle and determine where you really wanted to be. And that's what happened for me over time, because I like to do my work business stuff. I like that. I could spend all my time doing that, but again, you have to be disciplined enough to keep it all going. But at the same time, like, I'm also not trying to enter a bodybuilding show tomorrow by any means either. So my priorities at the end of the day are where they are, but again, you just can't let anything slide. So you figure out where a sustainable amount that keeps you where you want to be in all areas is, and as long as you just keep going down that road, then you'll find that groove for you. And a lot of times it goes with the seasons of life, because like when you said before, like, oh, don't be I don't even get in the gym until 8 p.m. Well, we put our 5-year-old down at right around 8 p.m. So like, I'm not going to be in the gym at 8 p.m. because that's really important time. But nobody's up between 5, 6, and even closer to 7. So that's a much better time. But before they came along, like, I really liked nighttime gym sessions because it really helps you unwind, and I just felt stronger at night, So I like the discipline and the getting going in the morning, but I like a light to moderate session in the morning, because if I go really super hard in the morning, I actually get a little spacey for a while after. So if I go like right from that to the next thing, I'm like kind of it's almost hard to focus because I got so much like pre-workout going through me and stuff. So I like to lift the heaviest at night if I'm going to do that. And then the morning just gets my day started. And again, for me, my biggest thing is I want what I do with working out, exercising, I want that to feed energy into the rest of my life. I don't want to dump a bunch of energy into that. But if you have a good program that works for you with, timing during the day and everything, it can definitely be an energy multiplier. But if you always just run, what I started doing in the very beginning was 7 days a week, hour and a half in the gym, lots and lots of exercises. I was sore constantly, and you find yourself not able to put up nearly what kind of weight you should when you literally lift 7 days a week. So then you back that down a little bit, find a sustainability number based on what you're trying to do, learn a little bit more, and then you can hang out right where you want to be or get to where you want to go if it's like way past where you're at. But sustainability is key because a lot of people either don't stick with it or they fall off, and then they wind up right back in the whole roller coaster ride of, I got to get it back in there and, lift 1 million pounds tomorrow, and then they go way too hard and they burn themselves out. Like, just, you gotta stick with it.
So, what would you say to somebody if they asked you how you get into it? How would you start that person off?
I think that if you're asking the question, you're on your way there, but you're not committed yet. So you're either going to find it within yourself to get committed and stop making some fucking excuses like I was in the beginning and start just doing stuff, and don't be afraid to look silly for a little bit, which nobody actually is looking at you. They're always worried about themselves anyway. So that's a complete bullshit excuse in itself. But, if you're poking around asking questions, you're not there yet. And so you just need to decide to listen to what I'm saying, which is no more excuses, and just get started, because everything else is just cheap talk. Nothing's actually preventing you from doing it to whatever degree that you can manage to get started. But once you get in it and you start seeing results, it gets a lot easier. And then again, it's about finding some sort of a sustainable routine to stick with. How'd you get into it?
How did I get into it?
Yeah.
Well, I was, what was I?
Not a fat ass yet, because you weren't old enough to get turned into a fat ass.
No, I was 16, and I was skinny, but I had a little tummy on me kind of deal, And then I got dumped, and then I was sad as a 16-year-old is. And then I texted you because we were all jacked, and I was like, "Oh, what you been doing in there?
What you trying to do?"
And I don't know. You said something like, "You can come with me next week or tomorrow or whatever it was," and then got me on an app. I'd recommend getting an app if you don't know what the hell you're doing. And then, they have the videos on them. And
the videos you need the videos. If you're not showing up with somebody that knows what they're doing and you never did it before, you gotta have the videos. I would have been so fucked.
So you hit the little video, you watch the guy do what he does, and you do that. Mm-hmm. And then you find out that you can't lift as much as you think you can. Mm-hmm. And you come back the next day and you're like, I'm pretty sore.
Yeah.
And it's like that for about 3 weeks.
And then you listen to your brother for approximately a week, and then you assume that you can do everything better than him, and then you don't want to listen to him anymore. But that's fine. I got you going. You remember that part of it? I remember that part of it.
Not really, but I believe you.
That's how it went.
Okay, moving on. And then it's really just about self-discipline. Having the discipline to go every day, and then having the discipline to do your whole workout, and then just about short little tiny goals inside of your workout. Like, if you want to, like, I've worked out with a lot of my friends that were beginners, and they want to they pick up their weight, which is usually more than what they think they can do, and they do, the 12 reps I tell them to do. They're like, I can only do like 5 of these or something. I'm like, I'll grab a smaller weight and do the whole thing. And it's about doing your whole, total amount of reps and sets, and not quitting, even if you have to drop the weight because you can't do the whole thing, just to finish your whole workout. And then when you think to yourself, like, I should only do so many of these instead of this higher number, that should be your aha moment to do more and do the higher number. Mm-hmm. Like the other day I was running with the weighted vest, and I was probably, I don't know, 20 minutes in. I was 20 minutes in, and I was like, because I just started running again, so like everything hurts at this point,
Oh, how much do you have in the vest?
It's probably 30, 40 pounds.
Oh, yeah. Wait till you're on like day 3 or 4 with that, and you got shin splints so fucking bad you can't walk. I have done that.
Yeah. So I've been running without the vest, but I was running with the vest, and it's
terrible.
Way harder. I mean, yeah. But I was running, and I had a pretty good pace going, but then it's just like it sucks. So I was running down the road and then coming back and going a different way, and I was running past your house, which is where I was gonna stop in the end. So I was like, I could be done right now. And then you think about that for a minute, and then I'm like, yeah, I should really. You have to keep going, and you have to use that as a sign, like when you want to put down the weight, and you're thinking about putting down the weight. You have to keep going with it, and you can't sell yourself short.
The power of one more.
Right.
Ed Milet.
That was a long-winded explanation of that, but
well, yeah, you gotta, everybody's got their saying. Bedros says like, well, actually, Andy says it too, but like, don't let your bitch voice take over. Turn your bitch voice into the boss voice. Ed Milet says, you always do one more rep, the power of one more. Great book, but it's all saying the same thing. You take like that second where you want to quit, and then that's your signal to do it again.
It's like, once you do that in the gym, and you think about something, and you do it, it's the same everywhere. So if you see, a piece of trash, and you see it, you're like, fuck, now I have to pick that up.
Pick that bitch up. That's right. Yeah, it's and that's why a lot of times getting into shape is a catalyst for personal development, because then all of a sudden now you're reading, and now you're addicted to growing your being, and everybody knows what the right answers are. You're supposed to like take in good, content, read some books, do some exercises, not eat completely shitty. Like, everybody knows that stuff. It's embedded in our DNA. Everybody has a voice in their head. It's just some people get really good at listening to it, and some people get really good at just burying that thing under the covers and muffling it. So it's a figment in the past that they don't even consider anymore. And then they go too long like that, and then they look in the mirror and look at their life situation and go, I wasted a lot of time. And that's where I found myself, and I decided, no mas, not going to do that again. So I didn't. And that is a freeing experience that levels up every aspect of life, because that discipline, like I said, it carries over to everything that you do, including picking up trash when you know that you shouldn't just let it sit there.
So what keeps you going to the gym?
Well, having a gym at home is certainly nice, so I don't have to go to the gym, for one. For two, every once in a while, you get like a wind and it's easy, but the best way to do it is to get in a routine, again, that's sustainable with the rest of your stuff that you have going on. And when I say that, I don't mean be a complete and say it's 15 minutes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you pick something, you stick to it, because if you've ever been a person that gets up at, a certain time in the morning, especially if it's way earlier than other people, like, we have a pile of people here that work day shift and they got to get up to be here for 5 a.m. every morning. And I've been getting up at 4:30 different times through the years. But when you're in that habit, and especially if you do it through the weekends too, because you're not running completely amok all the time, it's easy because you don't even think about it anymore. So what's the best way to continue doing that? Pick something that's sustainable and not too much. You can plan it to work into it. So you make it 15 minutes earlier every week kind of thing. But pick something that you stick with and then stick to it, because after a while you don't even fucking think about it anymore. You find yourself just getting out of bed and doing what's got to be done. You do that for years on end, which I have, and it's honestly super easy because it's not a conversation anymore. But on the days where, and everybody has them, where you're not feeling it, then you got to also have thought about that, which is part of the sustainability piece of it. So you want to pick something that you can stick with. So make it jive with the rest of your life, and then be careful about the promises that you make to yourself. Again, pick sustainable things, and know when the time hits and you're going to want to bow out, what you're going to tell yourself. So that has been a varying list of things. And even in the same day, you might have different things that work and different things that don't. But like I have a list in my phone of quotes that is pages and pages and pages and pages. Like if you're scrolling, like I was telling you before, you just go like this for like minutes, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes from all the podcasts and books that I've taken notes from and stuff. And then I have a list of people that kind of talked.
It's our camera timer.
Yeah, you're good. I remember where I'm at.
I want you in the worst way.
In the worst way. Yeah.
You know that song? It's a good one.
I think so.
Anyways.
I can't think of what it is, though.
You remember where you were?
Yep.
Go.
I have a list of people on my phone that talked mad shit through the years, and that helps. And usually between the couple of those things, when you need it, that'll keep you going. And then just not being a is the other half of it. But again, if you just get to the point where it's a habit, then it doesn't become an energy sucking endeavor. But there's a lot of deep work there to do, because you have to tie whatever you're doing to something that means something. And if you think about it and it makes you tear up, you're on the right track. If it doesn't do a whole lot of that, you ain't deep enough yet. That's what I know. So wife, kids, the girlfriend that dumped you, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.